I am not good enough. How often have you told yourself that? Now, I have told myself that. I still tell that to myself, subconsciously or consciously, and I'm sure you do as well. So that's why in this episode of Josh Langley Gets to Know, I wanted to get to know someone who has actually made friends with their I'm not good enough and made friends with their negative body image that they've had for so many years. So I'm talking to Heidi Anderson. Now, Heidi and I go back many, many years, and I've watched her grow and develop, and now she's just this amazing lady who's inspiring so many other women to basically shed their shit, all the stuff, all the baggage that we've got. So she's been on radio for many, many, many years as a breakfast radio host. She's been on Big Brother. She has a podcast with her husband called First Time Parents because she's become a mum in the last few months, and with little Memphis. Gorgeous. You'll see Memphis running around in the back of the video. And look, she's just everywhere on social media, just being Heidi. So I wanted to get to know Heidi a bit more, get to know her story, and find out what was that moment when she suddenly realized that she was good enough. So if you have ever said to yourself, I am not good enough, then you need to watch this. Now, a little warning, Heidi breastfeeds little Memphis towards the end there, but that's real. I left it in there. Hopefully you won't get offended. And we also do talk about some serious issues like anxiety and also suicide. But please sit down, please pour yourself a cup of tea, or whatever you want to do, and let's get to know Heidi Anderson. Heidi Anderson, welcome to my little chat show. How are you going?
Why do you call it a little chat show?
Well, I just like to be cute and quaint.
Oh, yeah, well, you are cute and quaint. Like, after working together for many years, I can say that you are a very cute and quaint person.
Oh, thank you very much, Heidi. Now, look, I'm just going to get straight into it. Now, outwardly, you seem very confident. You don't mind showing your body on social media. I've seen several pictures and stuff like that. You've done some nudie runs. You've done all that. But you have...
Not at all.
But you have body image problems. You've had body image things for a long time. Where did it start from? Can you isolate that?
Do you know what? I can, and I've just finished writing my book, which you have helped me with a lot, and it made me realize the different pivotal moments that kind of stood out for me as I went back. Now, I have worked so bloody hard over the last 10 years to bring myself to a place where I actually really like myself and I really love myself now. And it took me having my son to...
Yeah, I think I saw a little Memphis arm in the background there. There he is.
There he is.
Hey, man.
Hey, Josh. So it took me like 10 years of trying all different kinds of things, and so much of it worked. And then the last icing on the cake for me was having a baby and realizing what my body could do. And like, I'd been putting all this pressure on it for all this like material, like, you know, physical and materialistic, stupid ways that I used to expect my body to be. Like, aesthetically is the word I was looking for.
Yep.
So I, as I've written this book and realized over the work that I've done over this, last 10 years to get me to this place where I actually am really comfortable in my own skin, I realized that it was probably high school, and I can still remember the moments, and like I said, having just written my book and read like one or two of the chapters now recently, it was when I kissed a guy.
Yeah.
And we had a kiss, and then when we all walked off and it was my first kiss, and I was like, oh my god, and everyone made us pash. He walked off and he was like, his mate was like, oh my god, you kissed the fat one. And I was like, I remember, and even writing it like just broke my heart.
And did it just bring up all those feelings again?
Those feelings again. And then so there was 3 pivotal moments that happened in my life, and I've always been, Josh, with guys, and this is the thing that I've had to work on, and thank God I have the most gorgeous husband now in the world who has loved me at whatever size I am, whoever I am. All he says is, I love you because you're Heidi, like you're Heidi, that's it. But what I realized was I placed so much of that I had to be successful. If I would be, sorry, how do I, if I'm skinny, I've got mum brain, by the way. And it's a good excuse.
It's okay. I'm sure a lot of mums can relate to that.
So I'll be successful when I'm skinny is pretty much
Yep.
my life went on to be. And like I said, I can see those moments. So me kissing that guy, I was always the funny fat friend that all the guys wanted to be best friends with, and they all loved me and I had the best time with them, but they never ever wanted to ever date me because obviously I wasn't like what all the other girls looked like. And I had all these really you know, thin
Mm.
friends that were really beautiful, and they still are all really beautiful, but that was just their body size and that was just their makeup. But, you know, because of what magazines and industries and all that had said to these boys, and back in high school had said to us girls, I then went on this path of, I guess, pretty much sabotage and self-destruction of my inner being of my life,
And
you
and
know.
it is surprising how someone's just one comment, even though you may have overheard it, has such ramifications and such damage. People don't realize that what they say can have such a detrimental effect, don't they?
Yeah, and you know what, Josh? I look back at anything, and I've always been in trouble my whole life for stirring the pot, for being a bit lippy. You know, because
We know.
and you know, not even being rude sometimes, but I say things, and because I say it so honestly, like it really stirs stuff up in people. And having grown up being like that, I was just always no bullshit. People would always choose to attack the way that they saw me, and it was my body size. So for
Ah.
any situation that I've ever been in my life, like, you know, when a bouncer wouldn't let me into the pub and I got lippy or whatever, they would always refer to size. Everything has always been referred to my size.
So
So
that just kept get reinforced to you all the time. All the
the
time. So
story,
this is your problem is because you're the bigger girl. That's your problem.
yeah,
That's the bit I'm going to attack. And then you started to hate yourself more, even more so for that.
yeah. So all these bullshit, I call them bullshit lies now,
Mm,
because
they
for
are.
me, they are like, do you know what I mean? And you know, having done all the
Mm,
work that you do and your amazing books, that they're stories that we make up in our head, but mine were constantly validated by what
they're
I was seeing on
reinforced.
the
Yeah.
outside world. So yeah, look, and like I said, that was just one moment. There was several moments. Like my mum took me to Weight Watchers when I was younger, but that was because that was what she was taught to do to help her, and she wanted me to be healthy
Yep.
because I got really unhealthy and I was an emotional eater. But she didn't understand how to help me with the emotional side, because that's what her mum did with her.
And not many parents
So
know how to deal with the emotional side of things. They're not
yeah,
trained to. They don't have the skill sets either. So, yeah. I mean,
yeah, and she
have you forgiven your
like,
mum for that? Just out of
yeah.
curiosity.
Something that we've spoke about, and I don't actually blame her either. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like I said, she's doing her best. And now, having had a child myself, I now understand how fucking hard it is to, you know, raise a child and to keep doing your best. Like when you're trying to do your own, have your own life, and you're trying to keep them alive, basically. Do you know what I mean? And like, and
yep.
then also like work on yourself. Like that is pretty much what I've done. And I've got to a really healthy, awesome place where I'm going to break the cycle in our family. And he is not going to have any of that emotional eating side and all that kind of jazz. And that's from, like I said, from me understanding myself and putting myself out there. Now, my mom's the complete opposite to me, Josh. She's
Mm.
not a sharer at all. She holds everything in. She bottles everything up. She's an anxious ball of mess as well, but she doesn't, she didn't cope with hers through drinking as an adult. She coped with hers through food. And
Ah.
so, and now, as I went on into my 20s and stuff, she coped with her, like I coped with mine through alcohol and drugs and boys and stuff, but hers was very much food. So, you know, we've talked about it and stuff. And I think, you know, I actually did like sat her down, and after she came to one of my workshops, and I was like, how do you feel when I talk about this stuff? Like, does it bring up stuff for you? And she just burst into tears. And
Wow.
she said, I hate that it's taken that you, this is something that it's taken you this long that to not get over, but, you know, to
Mm.
work
To
through.
work through. Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, you know, but it was funny because her perception of what happened and her perspective from when I was a teenager is different to mine.
It, it,
So,
al- it always is, isn't it? And you don't realize the burden parents carry, the inner
yeah,
guilt that they carry, because we just see
I
them
know.
as parents, but they are carrying all that stuff. And as you as a first time mum now, you are feeling that too.
Oh my God, 100%. And so
Mm.
that's why I don't blame her. And I think if anything, and it's funny, I saw a psychic a few months ago, and she said, your mum chose you as a, you know, for a reason, your soul, and you chose her because you needed to teach her to share and open up and talk about this stuff.
Beautiful.
And it's taken me now in my 30s for her and I to have a really good relationship. And that's, you know, me having Memphis and talking about this stuff. Like, I think because she's not a massive talker, like my brother, me and my dad are the ones that are like, bleh, like, just, you know, we wear our heart on our sleeves. Are you right there, mate?
You're right,
We
Memphis?
wear our heart. He's throwing around his guitar. But so he wears his heart on his sleeve like me. So I think it's taken Mum and I a long time to get where we are. But yeah, it's a hard one because I know a lot of people have mummy and daddy issues, and they tend to, you know, obviously, like I said, work through. He's going to have them for sure. He's going to have so many issues of just his mum being a swearer, I think. Like, his first word will probably be, oh, he said dad and mum, but his next word will probably be fuck.
Struck one.
But yeah. But yeah, so I think I can, I don't like to blame them now I'm a parent. And don't get me wrong, there's things that I've had to heal from the way that I was raised and everything, but I was pretty lucky, and I see it more as that I've just been truly blessed with really good parents that, you know, because not a lot of people get that. And I know that you went through a lot with your family and stuff. So I'm just really super grateful. You know what I mean? That I've got, that they loved me unconditionally. That's the one thing my mum and dad never ever brought up my weight in a negative way. And they have loved me through me being the biggest asshole in the world. And, you know, when I rang my mum 5 weeks later and I just cried and said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everything. Now I understand what it would be like to have an asshole child. And that was me. So
I think so many mums and dads would really, really understand what you're saying there.
Yeah. I get so emotional, like, thinking about it, because like I said, I did really, as much as, you know, there's some things that they didn't parent the way that maybe I needed. But yeah, like, I look back and I think I was a massive jerk. And I can't even think that Memphis is going to be like that, especially now knowing the love that I have for this little baby.
Oh, look, I think that's fantastic, Heidi. Now, I want to ask you, even though you said you've had a fantastic childhood, your parents loved you unconditionally, it says a lot for society, social media, for media in general, and advertising in the way they portray body image and the idea of the perfect body. Now, you would think with all the conversations going on, they would have learnt something. Someone would have gone, okay, let's change behavior. Let's change the messaging. If we really want to make people feel a little bit more okay. So they still buy our products, because I know that's the whole idea of the buying products and selling. It's the marketing thing. But you would think they would have learnt by now. But what can people do to really counteract those negative images? What worked for you?
Well, I think it's just firstly understanding diet culture and those industries, that they are marketing something to you. And so
they just want something from you. They want to buy you to buy something. That's it. They don't care.
Yeah, and following people online that actually inspire you through these real conversations. And, you know, it's really hard, Josh, because I look back and I think, you know, I'm working with a couple of teenage girls at the moment through their insecurities and body image and all that. And that's what it is. They play on our insecurities, and they play on, like, they have created what the perfect woman is, what the perfect man is, you know, from industries from all these years. And what they realize is that women will do anything to fix themselves.
Yeah.
And so
they play on that.
We'll spend money on plastic surgery. We'll spend money on, you know, the best skin products to get rid of cellulite. We'll get liposuction. We'll go on diets. We'll, you know, and so they have played into our insecurities so much so that we believe that we need them. And that's where do
you think that, like, say, like, you got your Kardashians and all these other influencers out there, and they look $1 million, but everything's been curated and everything's been airbrushed or whatever. But you're now getting 11-year-old girls following these people on Instagram going, I want to be like that. That's what the ideal is. What would you say to those 11-year-old girls?
Well, you know what? I don't like to bag anyone out in the sense that Do you know what I mean? If I believe that everyone's beautiful, whatever they've done, even if they've had plastic surgery, if that's what makes you happy, then I love that. Do you know what I mean? If
Yep.
if
Each
you're
to their
doing it
own.
for you, yep, exactly. So, but my thing is, what you've got to remember is, and this is where I do get upset with the Kardashians and all that sometimes, because I do secretly watch them. I love reality, trash TV, housewives, all that. But
I
I'm at
won't
an
hold
age
it
where
against you, Heidi. It's all right.
yeah, I don't
I'm busy
feel it,
watching
but
Four Corners. You can watch your Kardashians.
I love it. I love it. And like housewives and stuff. But I'm at an age where I understand that these women have chosen to do that. They've chosen to change their face. They've chosen to do that. And they are allowed to do that if they want. But when you're young girls and you're playing into these insecurities, that's when, you know, that's where I get like, come on to the Kardashians, like stop talking about your bloody weight in the episode. Stop referring like everything to be about your image. And that's where they piss me off, because that's where I feel like they let that whole diet culture and like, you know, changing yourself to fix a certain mold, they really let that, do you know what I mean? Like
they dictate the narrative. There's nothing about any internal, any wisdom or any insights or anything like that.
Yeah. And it's really like, so following those girls online and following anyone online, you have to realize that it's I get so passionate. I was like, I didn't even ask if we could swear on this either. I get so bloody passionate. Oh, thank you. Because when I get passionate, I'll drop an F-bomb here or there. But I like, what we have to realize is there's a filter over everything. Stop, you know, filtering your face just for the likes. Like stop following like women that, you know, or just be aware that this isn't that what they really look like. And look, some of them they really do, and like good on them, and that's their body type. But accepting that every single person is an individual, their skin color, their face, their nose, like every single thing, the shape of our bodies and stuff, like is all going to be different. And I think, you know, not putting our like pressure on ourselves and comparing to other girls and stuff. And I guess when I'm working with these teenage girls, the big thing I'm focusing on is their inner selves and the love that they can offer themselves, and, you know, the mindfulness and meditation and practicing all these self-love things from such a young age, that then they're equipped with some tools so that when they can carry on, they will know that that's not what every single woman or man looks like, that, you know, everyone is individual, and they start to accept themselves for who they are. Had I accepted myself a long time ago, yeah, sure, maybe I wouldn't have gone on this path of self-destruction and stuff, but then I wouldn't be here sharing this message and maybe helping change the narrative.
Everything's for a reason.
Yeah, so I don't regret anything that's happened to me, or the way that I've been raised, or you know, the way that I've seen myself over the years. It is what it is, but I want people to know that you don't have to hate yourself anymore. You don't have to look in the mirror questioning what you're going to change, trying to work out what you're going to fix. You can put yourself first, and it's same with these teenage girls. You can put yourself first, and you can work on these self-love. And it's just these minor little things that we can do every single day that can change your life. And that's what I'm passionate about.
It sounds like instead of telling them don't look at social media, don't compare yourself, it's like interrupt, redirect, bring it back to you, build the confidence up in here. And then when you see the world, it's not such, oh, they're so much better than me, I'm so useless, yada, yada, yada. It gives them that inner confidence, inner strength, and the wisdom and the ability to look critically at what those images are like. Because I know that there's, not that I look at many influencers on Instagram, but I know I have seen some especially women out there, and every single photo is so curated, and they look happy, they look fantastic. Even the new mums, I've seen them, here's my new baby, and it's like, my baby's called Willow, and it's got little flowers in its hair, and it's just like, really? I want to see the other stuff. And that's when I look at your feed on Instagram, and you've got Memphis throwing up everywhere, you've got you in your undies, and it's like, you're showing, and I know that you're an influencer because you've got a whole bunch of followers on both Facebook and Instagram, but you're not afraid to show this is what mothering really is like. Now, the question is, okay, where do you cross the line between oversharing all that stuff and just living a life? You know what I mean?
Oh, man. I am an oversharer, and that's the thing. And sometimes people look at it negatively, I guess, but I want to change that story. That's just who I am as a person.
Mm.
So if I walked into a room, whether I'm pissed off, whether I'm sad, whether something's just happened, because I can't lie. So I can't lie on social media either. And sometimes I will go offline for like a day or 2 days if I am really, empty, I
Yeah.
guess you could say, and I can't even figure the words out or whatever, because I also don't want to. I want to show what's real, but I don't want also for people to be like, oh, that energy's negative. Like, do
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? So I
Yeah.
know when there's times that I can, but like that's what I think people tend to look at sometimes being an oversharer negatively. And like, I know my mum, like I said, that's something that really, irks her, like
Mm.
being so, like, she doesn't want people to know her business. Whereas I'm like, but it's not knowing my business. They're not knowing my business.
They're not
They're
knowing
knowing what
100% of Heidi. They're just knowing a smallish percentage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, I've got, 75,000 followers or something across all my social media channels. But, they, and, I love that they think they know me, but there's still so much of a part of me. Like, they're not there when Griffo and I have a fight. Yes, I'll talk about it afterwards, but they're not there in the moment.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
not, do you know, we're only getting like, and, just because I think you watch people on their stories and you see them, you feel like you're with them 24/7, but they're only 15-second snippets,
Mm.
and,
Mm.
you're only seeing a photo and you're talking and stuff. So I don't really think that I overshare. I think it's because I don't care about whether if Memphis shat on my chest or vomited through my hair, or Griffo and I had a fight and I told you like how our communication broke down, or I talk about our sex life. That's real stuff.
Mm.
You know
But
what I mean?
I think you're not sharing it in the heat of the moment, like someone on, like one of your friends, Sally or Barry or whatever, and they just go FML. I have a bad day. What you're doing is actually it's kind of like what I kind of do in a way, is that you'll get a bad situation and then you will give yourself space to understand it, to let it
Yeah.
infuse into you, and then you go, what's the takeaway from this? I will write that or create a video about that, and then you'll put that up. So when everyone else finds themselves in that situation or something similar,
Yeah.
they can go, okay, right, maybe I can look at it differently now, as opposed to just absorbing yourself in all that negative stuff and then blurting that out in that way.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what I realized, Josh, from my pivotal moments of openly sharing on the radio where I was super vulnerable, these moments that literally changed my life. First one was body image back in Bunbury when I worked with you. Second one was here in Perth talking about my anxiety. Is the most powerful thing that I took away from that moment speaking about it in Bunbury, where it literally went viral when things started going viral, was that what I realized was that I wasn't alone anymore.
Yeah.
So that is why I'll continue to share, yes, for other people. So then they go, oh, I'm not alone, but also for me. Because some people I felt like didn't understand me, that knew me. Do you know what I mean? But that's because I wasn't always voicing what was really going on. I was too scared to be super vulnerable or even just real. Like, like, how are you actually feeling, Heights? Well, actually, I feel like shit. Like, I don't like the way that I see myself and this and that. And right, I would never have said that, like I tried to always be the happy, fun, bubbly girl.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
underneath that,
What other people wanted you to be, or what you thought
yeah,
other people wanted you to be, you tried to live up to that. And then as soon as you thought, I'm just going to be me, I'm going to be real. And that's that's the vulnerability, isn't it? I know it gets bandied around everywhere. Brené Brown talks about it and everybody goes, I want to be vulnerable.
yeah.
But how hard is it to be vulnerable?
Well, some people it's fucking hard. Like, I just did a free today shed your shit challenge. Now, shed your shit for me is basically your emotional baggage. So,
Right. Okay. I was going to get to this, but let's get to it now.
Yeah, well, I guess like for me, like being vulnerable is literally just being open and honest, like, and telling people how you're really feeling by like, we create so many stories in our head from anything. It's like, just even like with your partner, a lot of people's biggest problems is communication. And a lot of the time is it because we expect the other person to know what we're thinking and feeling, but we're not communicating it. So then we're creating these stories. Then all of a sudden they've got stories going on in their head. And, you know, when you could just be vulnerable in that moment and go, like, say, for example, one of the moments that stands out for me was when Griffo and I had this moment where I realized that was what was going on. We were creating stories in our own head. It was years ago when he came back from work on FIFO, and we had this fight, and I was just like, rah, 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 and he, rah, 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 and we screamed our heads off. And what I realized afterwards was when we talked about it was I just needed to say, I'm really upset that you're going out with the boys this weekend because I thought that we were going to hang out. And it just makes me think sometimes, oh, maybe, you know, you choose the boys over me. Like, had I have not said, and then he thought because I wasn't speaking that I was getting, because I get very, you know, like cold, which is, you know, that's
shut
how
down.
you know when something's shut down, and that's my anxiety. I'm like, and so then he felt that, and then he started, well, she's a bitch, like, you know, controlling bitch, rah, rah, she probably hates that I'm going out with the boys, and rah, 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 but didn't understand my vulnerable side of it. You know, it was just that I actually just really craved time with him. And so that is being vulnerable, just being open and honest in the moment and saying how you truly feel. It's like putting your hand up in the office and saying, I've actually got something to say. And knowing that, yes, people might judge you, but who gives a fuck? Because you're speaking your truth and you're being honest and you're being authentic. So many of us are walking around with masks, living these fake lives. And I guess for me, I just want them to know, just by having these simple, more open and honest conversations with our friends, with our family and stuff like that, that we can, yes, it is really hard, but yes, we can live our best lives because we won't be, you know, faking it anymore.
How often do you think people actually know what's going on inside them? How often do you think people actually know what their internal narrative is?
They don't. And then this is the thing, from doing this free 10-day shed your shit challenge, 2,500 people signed up. Wow. And they've obviously seen change over the years. These are like people that have followed me, that have seen me grow as a person, to understand myself and to also find love with myself and want to help others. What I found, because the first challenge was to look within and work out what your inner critic, your mean girl, your mean boy, your ego was actually feeding you. So take away some of those layers, and people were fucking petrified. So many people ran the first few days because they were like, oh my God, I don't want to open that Pandora's box. And then some people got right in there, and, you know, I asked them to name their mean girl or mean boy and stuff, because I've got like 5 or 6 names for mine: Comparison Cassie, Anxious Annie, Self-Loathing Sally. You know, the list goes on. And so what I realized in that moment was that so many people are believing these stories that they're telling themselves day in and day out, whether it's to do with their weight, whether it's to do with the way their partner sees them. And it all comes down to self-worth and not feeling like they're good enough. So we create these stories and they keep bringing us back to that shitty moment, but people are scared. They're scared to open, you know, it's
that tap into that pain that is there. And that pain is far easier to avoid than it is to go into. But it's like, and I totally get that. It's like, I'll rather run a mile from the fire than go into it. But suddenly, if you go into that fire, you may find out it doesn't actually burn you. And that could be the most important thing that you ever realize. So it's important to go into that.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because now I've delved into that. Like, what I say to people is, yes, it is hard, but isn't it going to be harder living the next... Oh, you want some attention. Isn't it going to be hard living the next 80 years being depressed, being unhappy, having those thoughts circulate? Because I know what anxiety is like. Like, that's remuneration of that shit 24/7 that you then become insomniac. You then put on heaps of weight because you're unhappy. You, you know, you drink too much, you smoke too much, you eat too much food. You know, you might become addicted to sex, all that kind of stuff. When really, if you spend the work now, and this is what I'm trying to tell people, by doing simple acts of mindfulness, changing your mindset with positive information, positive people, following, they're tiny little things that, yes, you've got to face those stories straight away.
And you've got to want to change. That's the other, you've got to want to change. A lot of people are addicted to their story, and they're afraid, who will I be without this story?
Oh my God, 100%.
That's a frightening thing for a lot of people.
They'll be a better fucking person. And, you know, for internally, not like as an external,
Yeah.
you know, out there for other people, not for anyone else, but for themselves. And so, you know, like I call it, like, you know, I talk about shed your shit. Now for me, what I've realized over the last couple of weeks of doing this challenge and then selling a course off the back of it was that so many of us underneath all those feelings, and it's the same thing that Brené Brown speaks about, is it all comes back to shame. Like
Yeah.
people were shamed that they didn't finish it because, you know, they were scared of their stories, and then they felt shame that they'd signed up to a course, and, you know, they felt shame in their stories. They felt shame in not wanting to be open and be vulnerable and all that kind of stuff. So and what I realized was I felt shame because I was like, oh my God, maybe they stopped the course because I am shit. Maybe they didn't like my voice.
All
Maybe
these stories.
the podcasts were crap. And so I just said that to them yesterday. I was like, guys, for those who didn't show up, I want your hands up. Like, let's be open. I feel like I've done a shit job. That's my story. I'm being honest about that because some of you guys fell off the wagon. So let's shed our shame. And, you know, that's part of me. Yeah, it worked. Like, and people showed up and they were like all commenting, going, no, life got in the way. Oh, I got scared of the things that I'd found, you know. So there was so many different things, but I've now gone on to create a course on this, and, you know, it's my very first one, completely stepping away from radio and
that's a brave thing to do, because you've been in radio for many, many, many years, and to go out on your own and do this course. So how do people join? What's the brief summary?
So
Elevator
basically,
pitch.
Okay, so you'll have me for your hype girl for 1 month. There'll be 4 60-minute catch-ups, like on probably Zoom, because I think I've got 30 sign-ups so far. And Zoom, you know, I want to be able to see everyone. And then you'll get motivational videos, 3 motivational videos a week, 3 motivational podcasts, and you'll have little mindset and practices and self-love exercise afterward. And then basically you'll be joining the Shed Your Shit squad and having a community of people that are feeling the exact same way that you are, that are willing to, you know, make this step so that we can all live the best life. I want people to know that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. So are you living your best life by counting the calories, by, you know, weighing yourself every day, by telling yourself that you're not good enough, by trying to believe that your self-worth is through a man or a woman? I want people to know that they don't have to live that way any longer, that by doing these things over a month, and I've carefully planned the 4 weeks in, you know, the first week is all about vulnerability, and the second week is about auditing certain parts of your life. Like, so are you a people pleaser? And then the third,
I am. That's me.
Yeah, we all are. And, you know, I shouldn't say we all are, but I feel like a lot of us tend to be, especially if you're, you know, I think a sensitive person.
Yeah.
And the third week is all about stepping outside of your comfort zone, taking you to challenges of the next level. And then the 4th week is all about creating the life that you want through a peace plan.
Okay.
Yes.
This sounds like a fantastic idea. Now, where do people go if they want to sign up?
Shedyourshit.com.au.
Shedyourshit.com.au.
Yeah, if you join before, when are you actually putting this up?
Oh, most probably a couple of weeks.
Oh, well, they might miss it. They might miss this one, but go to shedyourshit.com.au because the close off is July 10. But it's a whole movement and everything that I'm moving towards anyway. So the course will definitely be open again, but I wanted it to be open and closed so that we can work together in the month and have that whole community vibe. And then after that, I'll do like one-on-one coaching and stuff like that. And then I've got other things in the works. So
beautiful. But if people want to know more about whatever you're doing, they just go to shedyourshit.com.au and find out when the next one is.
Go to shedyourshit.com.au. You want to go to bed? Come over here. Say hi to Josh.
Okay. Heidi, look, I know you've given us lots of sage advice. What's one quick thing that you think people should remember about life?
Let's see if you'll go on the boob first, Josh.
Okay. I love this live breastfeeding. Well, not live, it's recorded, but that's all right.
Well, live for us.
What's the most important thing, do you reckon?
The most important thing that I'm seeing with mums from this group is that they're not willing to put themselves first. They're not willing to make that commitment. They're, you know, putting their partners first, they're putting their kids first and stuff like that. If you want to make the change in your life, you need to put yourself first.
Okay.
And I think it's starting to be honest about that like you deserve it, you are worth it. And
Okay.
so I think that's the biggest thing that I'm getting, is that they don't believe that they're worthy enough. And for me, raising a child, right, I want my child to know that he deserves to treat himself with love. He deserves to treat himself, by doing all these things and putting himself first, because he's worth it. What is that messaging saying to your children? That's what I'm realizing, is like, oh, like, well, what are they going to grow up? They're going to grow up and think, well, I shouldn't put myself first, should I? I should put others first. And then there's that whole people pleasing thing that comes out. So choose to put yourself first for some self-love mindset and self-care, and your children will see
So
that, and you'll
be
start
the
to make
example to your children.
monkey see, monkey do. Look what happened to me, and with my mum and stuff. Like, when I look at that, like, she did what her mum did, I did what my mum did. And then now, like I said, that's why I want to break the cycle. And I know it's really fucking hard, because we've been, it's taken me 35 years. So if you're 45, if you're, 55, whatever, it's bloody hard to change it. But I promise you, within weeks, you'll see changes. Like, I had a lady, Josh, message me and tell me that she was going to, and this is pretty deep, by the way, she was going to take her own life 2 weeks before she signed up to my challenge.
Wow.
And then she signed up. She said it was like a sign. She signed up. The first few days, she was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. And then I actually jumped in the group and I was like, who needs a butt kicking? Like, who needs me to, like, who needs me to hype them up a little bit? Like, you're feeling unmotivated, your stories, all that kind of stuff. And she was like, me. And I said, come on, Trace, like, what have you got holding you back? And I showed her that I was there for her and I cared. She's now signed up to my course, my 4-week course. And she messaged me and she said, you saved my life, because I've
Wow.
started to implement these daily things. And these things are free. So if people want to jump on that free 10-day challenge, I'm going to upload it soon. So just message me whatever way you want, Instagram _Heidi Anderson, and I'll point you in the right direction of some of the stuff that I've got. But it's just simple things that, well, I say simple, but I know that they take
But it brings it back down to a small thing that you can do right now, today.
Yes, that can change, that can literally start to change your life, and don't get me wrong, like, I understand people do need to see psychologists and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've had an amazing psychologist who's helped me through so much. I have no shame or stigma around that. I think it's amazing. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi, Memphi.
You ready to go to bed? Is that what's wrong? He's
I
like,
think
yeah.
he needs nice. Okay, Heidi.
Yeah.
Look, thank you very, very much for your time. And Memphis, thank you for your time as well. And look, good luck with everything. And if people want to go, I'll put the website up and all that sort of stuff. Thank you for joining me on my chat show.
Oh, no. Well, I love you. I love your books. I read them to Memphis all the time. And, like I even say, I feel like sometimes although they're written for children, as an adult reading it, I'm like, it's a really good reminder of, all of the stuff that we talk about. So I just love everything that you do. And I love you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Heidi. We'll chat again soon. Hi, thank you very much for watching the latest episode of Josh Langley Gets to Know. Got any questions? Whether you want to say whether you liked it, you didn't like the interview, and like my hair's too grey or something like that, post a comment below. I won't get upset, okay? Now, gratuitous plug here. If you want to grab my books, Been You Is Enough, Okay to Feel the Way You Do, or Magnificent Mistakes, or all three, just go to my website at joshlangley.com.au, because it's about trying to change the world one book at a time, helping one kid just to feel good about who they are and feel good in their own skin. If we can just help one child, then they may help another child, then another one, then another one, and then that's how we slowly change the world. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next episode.